All right, here we go. Going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Palmdale City Council. Madam Clerk, may we go ahead and get a roll call, please?
Mayor Bishop,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Loa,
Here.
Council Members Olson,
Here.
Bettencourt,
Here.
Alicron,
Here.
and Commissioners Fragasane
Here.
and Betts. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us to item number 3, the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. And I'm going to add that we're adjourning the meeting tonight in honor of firefighter Andrew Pontius. Mayor Pro Tem Loa, can you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Place your hand over your heart and repeat.
Unknown caller.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence,
Unknown
please.
caller.
Thank you.
All right, City Manager, are there any items to pull from the agenda tonight?
No, Mayor.
Okay. All right, City Clerk, we're going to move on to public comments. City Clerk, can you go ahead and read the public comment code of conduct into the record, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? The meeting of the Palmdale City Council is now in order. A code of conduct will now be read, and we request that you comply with it to ensure the efficient administration of the meeting. Members of the public, it is your right to participate in today's City Council meeting, and the Council encourages such participation. However, the right of the public to address the council must be balanced with the need to ensure that public comment does not interfere with the orderly course of the council's business. All are reminded to abide by the following rules. Speakers must cease speaking immediately when their time has ended. Public comment on agenda items must relate to the subject matter of that item. General public comment is limited to subjects within the jurisdiction of the council. Public comment does not include the right to engage in a dialogue with council members or staff. Please remain respectful of the forum and refrain from uttering, writing, or displaying profane, personal, threatening, derogatory, demeaning, or other abusive statements towards the council, any member thereof, staff, or any other person. Members of the audience should be respectful of the views expressed by speakers, staff, and council members, and may not excessively clap, cheer, whistle, or otherwise disrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting. Any person engaging in conduct that disrupts the meeting is subject to being removed from the council meeting. Finally, if you witness conduct or behavior by other members of the public that disrupts your ability to remain engaged or participate in this meeting, please notify city staff. Thank you for your cooperation.
Before we go to public comment, Mayor, I would move items 6.1 and 7.1 to the beginning of the meeting after the public comments.
Okay. Do you have consensus from the council?
That's fine with me.
Okay, I see we have a lot of people here tonight for those items, so we'll go through public comment and then we'll move those 2 items forward.
Yeah, and for everyone's information, that's basically the budget that we're going to be discussing tonight. We'll do it up front. Thank you.
Do we need to move 6.1 with it? No, we're just going to move 7.
Just point 7.
Just 7.1.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, do you have any comments? Public wishing to speak on these items?
Now is the time for public participation on the consent calendar, Section 5, the joint consent calendar, Section 6, and closed session, Section 12. And there are no speaker cards for those items, Mayor.
No speaker cards? Okay. With that, let's go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I know that there was a request to move the budget forward. There are 15 consent calendar items. I know there are a lot of staff members who are here to present on those items in the case that they get pulled. Ordinarily, we don't pull many of those items. I would just suggest that we run through the consent calendar quickly and then move to the budget. if possible, if that's the will of the council.
I'd request that we do what the consensus already agreed to and go forward with 7.1, please.
Okay, do we have consensus that we want to move the budget forward? Yes, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, I just see the consent taking longer and everybody's here, obviously to support the budget, let's do that.
Okay. So that's gonna take us to item 7.1. That's gonna be the joint public hearing. So City Clerk, can you please read the resolution titles into the record, please?
A joint resolution of the City Council of the City of Palmdale, CC 2024-064, also the successor agency, SA 2024-012, Palmdale Civic Authority, PCA 2024-001, Housing Authority, HA 2024-004, IDA 2024-001, Palmdale Airport Authority, PAA 2024-001, Palmdale Financing Authority, PFA 2024-003. A joint resolution of the approving legislative bodies approving and adopting the City of Palmdale's annual budget for fiscal year 2024-25 and approving revenue and expenditure adjustments to fiscal year 2023-24. Also, we have three more resolutions. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Palmdale, which is CC 2024-066, amending the city's classification and pay for the general positions. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Palmdale, that's CC 2024-067, of the City of Palmdale, amending the city's classification and pay plan for bargaining unit positions. And CC 2024-068, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palmdale, amending the city's classification and pay for parks and recreation unbenefited positions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You certainly have your work cut out for you tonight, don't you? All right.
Question for the city attorney.
Yeah.
May we make a motion to adopt this resolution before public testimony, or do we take public testimony and then make a motion?
You'll want the testimony first, sir.
Very well, thank you.
Okay, do we need a staff report, or can we go right into the public hearing and receive testimony? Testimony? Okay, let's go ahead and hear from the public. Do we have people here wishing today to speak on behalf of the budget, or item 7.1?
We have no speaker cards for that item.
Shocking.
Okay.
Okay,
Move to close the public hearing.
all right. Motion to close the public hearing. So council discussion, or a motion or a second to adopt the
I
resolution.
will make a motion to adopt the resolution as has been read in item 7.1.
Okay, we have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Loa.
I'll second.
We have a second from Frogusons. Thank you. Let's go ahead and vote.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
you know what?
well,
Hold on
we
real
have
quick.
Council
Let's,
discussion,
Right.
right?
We need to have discussion, of course.
yes, and before that, actually, we're gonna bifurcate the vote, so we're gonna do a housing vote, and then we're gonna do a second vote with council, so that motion and second right there is for the housing authority
Okay?
portion of that. So discussion?
Okay, so clarity, what are we discussing right now?
This would be the motion and second to adopt a resolution for the housing authority,
Oh,
for the budget for the housing authority.
so that we can then dismiss the commissioners? For the
Yes,
remainder of the
after we
budget?
make our vote, I think they might have one more
we do.
they need to vote on, but after that, then we'll excuse them.
All right, I don't know.
Okay, I don't have any discussion on the housing authority component.
Okay,
All right, so I call for the question then on the first item.
all right, let's go ahead and vote.
Start voting. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. All right, that takes us to the resolution CC 2024-64 and the rest of the budget. So-
So we'll move to adopt that portion of the budget.
Same process, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilmember Olson. Let's go ahead and have a discussion.
I think we've reviewed this publicly before, and we've had discussions with the finance director, with staff, including the city manager. We've reviewed this. It sounds as, to me at least, it's a sound budget that's being proposed by staff. And there's some storm staples there because of some deficit, but I believe we've got reserves to cover that. My understanding is that's how we're gonna handle that. I appreciate that we have representatives here from the workforce, and that we stand with the public union that represents you. We want to do everything possible to make sure that you get the compensation and the benefits that you're entitled to. I wish we could do more. We're always looking for more to preserve our workforce across the board, whether they're represented or not represented. But I'm very happy to see that y'all are here. I appreciate you being here. I believe the rest of the council does as well. And I think it's a sound budget. I think we should adopt it.
It is. I agree. It's a budget that reflects a healthy city. If you look at it, it's over a little over half a $1 billion. It's almost $30 million budget, which is actually incredible for a city our size. And if you look at the cities in Southern California and the cities around us, it's not even comparable in some aspects. But it really is a testament to how our city is thriving. I appreciate the staff. It certainly is a lot of work that staff is taking on and accomplishing on a day-to-day basis. This council appreciates that. We see what everyone is out there doing. And I think it's definitely a good budget for the city, and it's going to lead us into the future with a lot of bright, promising options.
I just want to thank the city manager and staff. I know that it's a long, tedious, hard process, but I think we did great. The fact that so many people came out to support the budget means that your departments felt heard. And with that, I support it.
So it's a beautiful thing to come out here. I was pleasantly surprised to come out and see all of these orange shirts. You guys really are the heart of this city. Men and women are the heart of this city. You keep our city functioning, keep our city beautiful, the unsung heroes of the city. So thank you for all that you do on a daily basis. You guys are kind of behind the scenes oftentimes, but you guys are out there, 24-hour on-call response. You guys are there when we need you, when the constituents submit requests for graffiti abatement or illegal dumping. You guys are responsive, and so for that, we owe you guys a debt of gratitude. So thank you guys for being here and for all of your hard work consistently throughout the course of the year. Absolutely, you've got Teamsters 911 has my wholehearted support. And the class and pay rezos, I never had any question that I was going to support them. So to be clear, you've got my support hands down. I do, unfortunately, want to just make a brief statement, and if the council could indulge me thereafter, we can dig into a few issues. But just if I could just have a few minutes to just make my statement. We as council members were all briefed on the budget. In fact, Mayor Bishop and I were briefed together on May 7th. During that briefing, I asked questions and requested follow-up information. And it's unfortunate that I have to report that since that briefing, I have received nothing. This past Monday, I had a follow-up briefing and I reiterated my request for more detailed information on the budget. I was told by our city manager that she would get right on it. And yet, as of this meeting, almost 2 months after my initial requests, I still have not received one email or one document responsive to my questions. For many reasons, this is incredibly troubling, but unfortunately, this denial of access to information on matters that I'm responsible for voting on at this dais have been ongoing for quite some time. I don't know if the same is true for the other council members, but this has been my experience. And in order for me to make informed decisions on this budget, I simply need more information. So not having received it prior to this meeting, I have no choice but to request the opportunity to inquire of our city staff on certain issues. Some of them are fairly benign and I think would garner support from the council. I've gone through line by line meticulously all of the budgetary documentation that I've been afforded that is publicly available. But the follow-up information that I requested, I did not get, so I would like to be able to have answers to those questions here today if the council would oblige that.
What kind of questions did you have? I've been at City Hall and, I mean, there's a 38-page document here that tells us the budget, but I'm curious, please indulge.
Let's jump right in. I'm ready to work. Let's go. Okay.
Start with like one question.
So
and
the
then-
easy one, Councilmember Olson and I have been working on this one. Dominic Massari, a couple months ago, we heard from the Palmdale Youth Soccer League. They came in, a bunch of beautiful kids came in with signs. They said, some of their signs said, "Can you see us? We can't see." They were advocating for lighting at Dominic Massari. They also voiced concerns about the public safety of the restrooms at Dominic Massari. They were saying that at night when they have practice, soccer practice, their little girls and little boys are scared to go in to use the restroom. And making comments of that sort. That's concerning to me. It was concerning to Councilmember Olson. It's his district. I think we all voiced concern jointly as a council, and we promised that youth league that we were going to deliver on their concerns and their requests. The budget, as I have read and have inquired with our city manager, it contains in Measure AB budget. If you guys want to look at it, it's page 19 of our budget. It includes the money in appropriation for the sports field lighting, but there is no appropriation for the bathroom, the requisite bathroom repairs. I don't want to create, havoc in the budget. But I would like to deliver on our promise to the kids. And so I think Councilmember Olson and I were talking and sort of thinking through, brainstorming on ways that we can address this now and ensure.
I remember that wasn't even the first time we discussed that. We've discussed it on the dais, the Dominic Massari bathrooms, the desert sand bathrooms. It's a shame, and I'm sure a lot of the staff here know it's difficult to keep things nice because we go in, we fix it up, we clean it up, and then boom, graffiti and vandalize the next day. Nonetheless, I still agree we need to make sure we offer good quality facilities for our residents. I know we have money in Measure AV. We have probably over $1 million of unregulated funds, but without getting too much into the weeds, I know that, it's priorities that we do stuff like that.
Great, I'm glad to hear that you agree. I look, it's to the city manager's discretion. I think we've talked, I don't want to delve into the details in which pot the money should come from. What Councilmember Olson and I were talking about and thinking through was the possibility of allocating a very small amount, $10,000, $25,000, immediately, and the city manager can determine where that comes from and incorporate it into this budget to make immediate repairs, to make sure the lighting fixtures are working, there's light bulbs, to make sure the locks and the doors are functioning, to make sure the sinks and the soap dispensers are working, just to make sure that they're functional. If we want to do a long-term needs assessment and maybe a full rehab of the restrooms, we could do that as a long-term
I
thing.
think that's part of it anyway, but she probably has a more elaborate answer.
So we are in the midst of finishing up the Parks Master Plan, which does an assessment of every single park and every single facility, and that will be brought before you in the very near future with a status of where each facility lands and how we prioritize fixing and repairing. But also in addition to that, if you look at the Measure AV budget, there is a line item that says general park improvements. It's an allocation of $1.512 million that is this exact use. As we identify things, we spend money on this. This could be done for sidewalks. It can be done for trees. We can use it for a plethora of things: picnic benches, trash cans, lighting, all of that. That's where this would come out of, and that's already been allocated.
Right. It's more of a macro overview of the budget when it comes to
As
stuff
needs
like
arise.
that.
Yeah, so that's a general line item, and again, I requested detailed information as to what that big number was going to include. Rhonda, you specifically told me that there were no allocations for the restrooms. I'm happy to hear that there is room in the budget to incorporate it. I just want to make sure that it's part of the record and that we know that as part of this adopted budget, that we are going to deliver safe restrooms at Dominic Massari for the Palmdale Youth Soccer League and for all those that utilize the park, but that to reinforce that this budget also includes the requested lighting at that park. So if we're clear on that and we're all in agreement.
And to those that are vandalizing the bathrooms out there, stop it.
Yeah.
Because It's pretty much every park bathroom. They're all, you know,
We need to get some cameras on
yeah,
this.
I took care of that.
Mayor,
yeah.
did you have something, Mr. Olson? I think
No, I
actually
mean,
we're
I just
talking
wanted
about
to say,
your
like,
district.
For tonight, I don't want to, you know, they're bringing the budget before us to adopt. This has been a long process. I don't want to start looking at what pot to move money around tonight. I think that there's been plenty of time to do that. But I do agree with what Councilmember Alarcon just said, but maybe not specific to Dominic Massari. Dominic Massari is what has been vocalized. Councilmember
Yeah.
Bishop brought up other parks. Now that we know that that $1.5-ish million is there and we can use that for the bathrooms, until that needs assessment comes back, do we have a time frame on that?
I believe it's July that it's gonna be presented to you. Yes.
So in the short term, in the short order, can we get a crew to go check all the bathrooms, do a quick checklist, lights, stall locks, whatever that we can do out of either the city manager's discretionary or that pot of money?
Well, there might be somebody from
I'm
staff
seeing
here
some
tonight.
shaking heads. Cool.
Sorry
So-
to add work to your workload.
But I think we're all on the same page, and we all want what's best for the youth in our city.
And we understand the challenges it is to keep the facilities nice, and we do understand that the staff is doing a great job with
And
the
I think-
resources
I
provided.
think the overall point is that there's no change being needed to be made to the proposed budget. That's already included, and I trust the staff and our city manager will take care of this business. It's an ongoing problem. Hopefully, we can beef up code enforcement to see if we can catch some of these taggers and other people that cause vandalism in these parks, not just in Passari, but around the city. And I've said before, and I will say it again, that many times these are juveniles that are doing this vandalism. And many times the parents are frankly aware that it's going on because sometimes they'll tag in their own homes. I've seen this in my experience at the courthouse as a criminal defense attorney. And the parents are aware of it. And if we can have law enforcement identify tagging because they have specific ways to do that, then we ought to go after the parents because the parents are responsible for the actions of their minors. And, you know, we can't let this go on anymore like that. It costs a ton of money to repair these things. It interferes with the 99.99% of the people that want to enjoy those parks, go to those bathrooms, use the facilities, and they're being prevented because of the criminal actions of some minors in many cases, sometimes adults as well. But I've said this before, and I hope at some point we take action to do this.
Okay.
I don't think we've heard from Ms. Betancourt.
Oh, we have that.
Well, I just want to say, I think this is a nice, lean budget. It's amazing that our city can function with all the things that a city's required to do: roads, maintenance, parks, events, financing. And the city does it with less than 300 people. 300 people, less than 300 people, are serving a population of 170,000 residents. And I just want to take my hats off to staff, to maintenance, to public works, because especially you guys in the shirts, you're out there working in the heat. And I take my hat off to you. That's a tough job. I don't know how you do it. I certainly couldn't do it. And thank you for all that all of you do in every capacity with the city. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Let's give him a round of applause. It's not easy work. It's not easy. All right.
All right, I've got a couple more issues. One is mental health. We have 2.175 allocated this fiscal year under ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. And if you guys want to reference that part of the budget, it's page 21 of 38. In the budget that's presented, it says that we've allocated the 2.175. Actual year-to-date, we haven't spent $1. When I spoke with our city manager about that issue, I was advised that the money would roll over to fiscal year 2025, but the budget doesn't reflect that. It says proposed and it has 0. So I want to make sure that the ARPA budget incorporates the rollover of the 2.175 for mental health.
Hey, Janelle.
Hi, good evening. I can speak to that. The ARPA funds are grant allocation funds, and they were awarded to the city. We have to commit those by December of 2024. We have until December of 2026 to utilize those funds. They will roll forward. Some of those funds are for multi-year projects, so they will absolutely roll forward into the next year. They were left in fiscal '24 because we were in the process of preparing an RFP to go out without the understanding of whether it would be able to be accomplished in fiscal '24 or fiscal '25. So those will be rolled forward.
So when we approved the
I'd like
budget.
to make a point about that, please, Ms. Councilman.
Can I follow up with a
Yeah,
question?
but let me just make a point before you do. I was the author of that measure a couple of years ago because of a very specific issue that I think is not properly addressed by the legislation regarding persons who are suffering from mental health, and in particular, the families and sometimes other residents of the same home that are dealing with an individual in the home that's got mental health problems, sometimes exacerbated by drugs and alcohol. And so even though there hasn't been any money taken out of ARPA funds, there has been a considerable amount of employee resources, including the city manager's staff and others working for the city and meeting with the stakeholders. All of the hospitals in the area, Los Angeles County Mental Health has been consulted with and sat down with. We've had meetings with psychologists and psychiatrists in how to best address this particular problem. So while it doesn't reflect that money has been spent out of the ARPA grant, there have been considerable resources on staff's part to address this. So we are now at a point where we can actually release a request for proposal. That's where we're at. The money will be spent. We have time to do it, and I think that we have intelligently, carefully, responsibly built a platform from which we can actually begin to address this problem in our city, which affects many, many families in this city. So I'm hoping that we don't have any controversy over this. That RFP will be released shortly, and I believe that there will be applicants that are going to look at this and perhaps apply, and then we can move forward. So thank you.
Yeah, I didn't raise the issue in an effort to create controversy about it. I wanted to bring light to it to make sure, because mental health is such a grave concern. Our mental health indicators in the Antelope Valley particularly are skyrocketing in LA County, and I want to make sure that it's incorporated into our budget next fiscal year, as the documents indicate, and Janelle, Ms. Sampson just noted, it does in fact say that the proposed 2025 budget includes zero ARPA mental health money, but she did acknowledge that when it's now approved, and since the RFP has not been issued, that they will incorporate it into the final published budget document. That's all I needed to hear. I just want to make sure that it's not left on the table and it's not incorporated into our adopted budget tonight, so that we can make sure that we can access it and move forward with the RFP immediately, and it doesn't have to come back to us.
Believe me, we will be watching carefully because we want this money spent in the right place. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right, a couple other issues, just generally, similar with the unspent funds on the mental health component, Measure AV, I just found various places in our budget where there were significant unspent funds in areas where our community really needs it. Business retention in Measure AV, we allocated $140,000 and only $44,000 of it was spent. Recreational scholarships, we allocated $20,000. Less than 25% of that money was spent. Veteran support, we allocated $25,000, only $1,000 of it was spent. I know there are veterans organizations and veteran individuals who could access and utilize these much needed funds, as would kids in our community who need recreational scholarships. So my question, and business retention, I mean, our small businesses are suffering. I know that if we developed a program and we did sufficient outreach, that we could, infuse all of these unspent funds into our community and uplift the businesses, uplift the kids. My question generally is, how do we do the outreach for this stuff? Like, just maybe if we can just globally rethink when we've got pots of money. So like recreational scholarships, when kids go to parks and they get the papers to like sign their kid up for soccer or softball.
Is that an oversight? Because I know we're supporting the groups more than that. Is it coming out of your discretion, the city manager's discretionary, or?
It's on page
Or is
20
it-
of 38 if you guys want to reference it.
Because I know we're supporting the local groups. I know we're doing more than that.
So, a couple of things, it's sort of a compound question. The business retention I show in Measure AV is anticipated to be fully spent by the end of the calendar year, as well as the recreation scholarships, so I don't see money left on the table. Now, there might be a few thousand left in veteran support. It looks like we took it from 25,000 and we did a year-end projection of 15. So we're giving back 10 to the general fund and we'll reallocate it again next year at 25. But I don't see where the other ones are showing that they're not gonna be spent by the end of the fiscal
Okay,
year.
so the actual year to date, it's through quarter 3. Those are the numbers that I'm referencing. So for instance, the business retention, it's at 44,000 as of the close of quarter 3. But then it's projected within 1 quarter to expend the whole 140,000. And similarly for the other ones, the scholarships were at 4,000, and in 1 quarter we're now going to get to the 20,000. How did we, in 1 quarter, expend all the money for all of these categories? Is there a better way to do outreach, to educate our community about these little pots of money that might, respectively support individual veterans and kids that are engaging in recreational activities and small businesses that might want to utilize business retention programs? Is there a way that we could do additional outreach so that over the course of the entire year that they can access these funds, and we're not like doing a rush to spend these monies and these funds in the final quarter of every fiscal year?
So I don't think that there's an issue with it being spent at a particular quarter, because like for right now, I've sent the link to the scholarship program to multiple families because people want to get water park passes because it's hot. So people apply for the scholarships based on their need and what they want their kids to participate in. They'll call me, I'll send them the link, they'll apply online. So it doesn't surprise me that all of those scholarships hit at the same quarter or at the same time of year. If your constituents aren't reaching out to you and asking you, how do I get free tickets to an event or the pools or lessons or teams, maybe we need to advertise more. But I do have people call me constantly. I email them the links to apply because you can't apply on the city website. So please go to the city website if you're in need of a scholarship so your kids can participate in activities. So it doesn't surprise me that it all happens in a particular quarter. Especially like right now, the scholarships I know there's people applying for the water park.
And I hear you, and I'm not suggesting that that doesn't make sense as it relates to recreational scholarships, but for business retention, doesn't make sense. That's an annual project. All I'm suggesting is maybe we can rethink how we do the outreach. So for instance, if a kid goes to sign up for soccer, maybe we attach a form, a little 1-page paper that says, these scholarships are available. So that when they sign up, they know that they could access, and so we don't have to rely on them accessing a website and doing all these other things. I don't know if we
Well,
already
Andrea,
do it.
I think it's a good idea to do more outreach. I think we can work through the schools too.
Yeah, I just think there's. I
Just
know
have some kind of
there
a
are-
relationship with them.
We've
They
got
know, because
plenty
the
of kids
schools,
who will
the
use this
schools
money.
really know who's in need, and maybe they can get on board and help us do some outreach.
Great, I agree with all of that. I just raised the point and
Oh,
identify
I'm not
the
trying
issues
to
in the
argue, I
budget
think-
to just say that we've
No,
got
I'm not
to look at
arguing.
it and rethink it.
No,
Because
I think it's a good idea is what I'm trying to say.
I just don't want to leave money on the table specifically for
No, I
kids and
understand.
families and businesses that are struggling.
Of course, there's always things.
I'm agreeing with you, Andrea.
There's always things we could be doing, and I'm sure our Parks Department, let's see, we got Eric there, is taking notes right now, he's hearing that. We should probably have a meeting with them, but and kudos to the Parks Department, by the way, you guys are doing a fantastic job this year. But yeah, there's always things we could be doing, but to wind it back into it, talk more specifically about the budget. Is there any other issues?
One other question that I asked, and still want to just get final resolution on. You and I, Mayor Bishop, were at the Public Safety Forum. Captain Barden spoke and offered remarks, and other presenters spoke and indicated that domestic violence is on the rise here in Palmdale and in the Antelope Valley. We as a council adopted our best goals We spoke and we unanimously agreed that domestic violence programming and the establishment of a domestic violence shelter here in the city of Palmdale was a priority for our council. We all agreed that it's unconscionable that somebody, a man, woman, children, no children, would have to make the choice of staying in a home that is violent or living on the street. We should be able to provide some alternative housing and a safe space for them. And I think that's why we incorporated it into our best goals. My question is, where in the budget, have we incorporated domestic violence funding for programming in this, in CDBG funds or otherwise?
So Sophia can speak specifically to the CDBG funding aspect, but I do know that we partner with Valley Oasis on the regular for all of the domestic violence issues that we're managing, and we have a 3-year plan to bring on a domestic violence shelter. We would have to source land or a site and then go out to procure it and RFP for a provider and all of the things associated with that. So I know she's actively working on that program.
And
That's-
Councilmember Betancourt has been a staunch
Yes.
advocate of this since the day I met her in 2016.
Yeah, and
That was probably one of the first things you told me you wanted.
I'm so happy to hear, this is my first time hearing that there's a 3-year plan to establish a domestic violence shelter. That's wonderful. Does this budget incorporate like a needs assessment or any kind of funding to move in that direction, or?
Sophia, do you want to speak to funding?
Good evening.
Hi, Sophia.
Hi. Currently, what we're doing is we're working with the coordinated a group of Valley Oasis, who are the many of the nonprofits of our area, to see what the needs are, listening to them, reaching out at different events, so that we can hear what's needed. Part of the challenge is that domestic violence shelter has to be a confidential item. And to do an RFP that is a public process is kind of counter to that. So I'm trying to put together how to approach it while not making it a very public item where everybody knows where this shelter is going. So there are some challenges that we are working through and looking to see how we can work with our nonprofit partners to maybe not make it where the city has to have all the public information, so that we can have a shelter, have services in a way that we can serve people confidentially, in a way that keeps their safety at the foremost. So with that, we do not have a idea of the funding that would be needed to do so, but we do have the plan of land that we have that can be sold to secure the funding, start the beginning of the funding. So we are working through all these different steps because of how that land was acquired. We do have to go through a very public process to get that funding together. So there are a lot of layers that we're working through. It's not a simple answer. But yes, we have already started this process. We've been working through it for over a year. And, but
We're utilizing the public partnerships right now.
we are.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I just, some of this information is just really helpful. It's fairly benign, and if we just had an open dialogue and information sharing, relationship, that we wouldn't have to do this publicly. But I would ask you to tap into my experience and my knowledge. I used to be the executive director of the largest domestic violence shelter in the country. And I know funding sources, I know how to run RFPs, I know how to manage the confidentiality of the facility and run it through the assessor's office and a variety of other things. Use me.
And you have
Let's work
expressed that
together.
to us, and we are keeping that in mind as we move forward, trying to put together how we're approaching it safely so that we can ask those detailed questions.
Got it. But in the budget, to answer my initial question, there is no money for domestic violence.
At this, how do I say this? There isn't any specific funding But as we identify and work through things, we do have ways to be able to assist.
Okay, good. Well, I would just encourage maybe at the mid-year budget review, giving you guys 6 more months to figure out how we're gonna to move forward. Maybe at the mid-year budget review, we incorporate some domestic violence programming and some funding for a shelter facility, and leave that as a viable opportunity. Anyway, thank you for answering
Thank
my
you.
questions.
Sounds like a lunch meeting's in order, but we do have money going to Valley Oasis. We are partnering, we are partnering with them.
Partner with Valley Oasis.
Right.
They are, they do have a lot of the funding through LASA that they get. So they do have funding for domestic violence. And other partners, smaller nonprofits, also have funding through Measure J, through, and other funding sources. So we are working with them, talking with them of where they're getting their funding, how they're using it. Because many times incarceration, the prison system, there's a tie to the domestic violence.
Right.
So there's more than one avenue. It's kind of like homelessness. And it is a cause of homelessness. So with our HPRP program, Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing, we're able to help them with security deposits, with rents, with utilities.
Right.
To help them to get in the door when they are walking out with pockets zero.
You've always told me to try to be preventative and catch them before it gets there. Or
Correct.
at least that's the goal.
Prevention is how our homeless plan, and it is a part of our homeless plan.
Right.
So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, Sophia.
Okay, and I've got one, I could go on for days, but I've got one other sort of overarching question on page 1 of 38. So I went, like I said, I went through it meticulously. I went through the first presentation that was, of the documents that were afforded to us in May. And I compared and contrasted those documents to what is being presented to us tonight. I noted that there were some differences, not a lot of drastic differences, but there was one area where I just wanted some explanation. In the operating budget, our budget went up by $1 million from 12 to 13 million. What accounts for that? And then our capital budget decreased by $1 million. What accounted for that? I mean, the line item, I can point you to the line item, but
Maybe call Janelle for that. She's coming.
so the 13 million operating budget line item 20 on page 1 of the budget. It's 13.166 now. Previously, it was 12.163. Just wondering what accounts for $1 million increase in operating expenses in the past month? Sorry, I hate to put you guys in this position. I wish we could have resolved these matters previously.
On a separate note, while she looks that up, a lot of people complain about our streets, our roads, the condition they're in. In this budget, there's $123 million in capital just allocated for the streets. So for those who are listening, and I hope a lot of them, that's everyone in the city is gonna hear this. But we are working on the streets. We have $123 million in capital, not including the labor portion of it, going into our roads and our streets to fix the streets. So I wanted to put that out there. It's a big chunk of our budget.
Yeah, and I just want to say, thank you from District 3. We got a beautiful Avenue S finally completed. We are working on Avenue R, and they are right now digging up 35th Street East between R and S because it was so badly buckled. It was like riding over a washboard, no matter what kind of car you were in. So they have actually taken out the concrete all the way down to the dirt, and they're replacing it, and so District 3 will have some very, very nice roads relatively soon. And if any of you are working on that, thank you, God bless you. Our residents appreciate it.
And 10th Street East is now open. Eugene, you can get to the bank.
It's the little things, right? It is.
It takes patience on the part of the residents. When a project like Avenue R is underway, there's a lot of inconvenience. But once everything is completed, then it's a joy to be able to travel through there much easier than the way it is or the way it is right now and the way it was before. Of course, right now, it's a little more difficult with all of the work there, but I think they're progressing quite rapidly there.
They are. The temporary inconvenience is gonna be well worth it in the future, so we appreciate everyone's patience and hard work.
So
Did-
hey, I
Janelle,
see Miss Sampson and,
do you need more
folks
time,
scrambling.
or-
Look, I trust you guys. I just wanted an answer. You can circle back with me and give me the answer. I've got nothing but confidence and faith in you guys. I just wanted to know what accounted for the increase over the course of this past month. Were there conversations that I wasn't privy to that triggered an increase in operating expenses by $1 million and a reduction in capital improvement projects by $1 million? Which capital improvement projects were eliminated that were presented originally in May? So if you could just get back to me with that, I trust that you guys got it all together. I mean, all in all, this is a $500 million budget. We're talking about, very minute issues here, I think, overall, but, if you could just circle back with me, that would be great.
Then with that, I move the question.
Okay,
Council, we
Second.
need to do a couple things here, please. One of the portions of the resolution was not read into the record, the last piece, which is adopt resolution number CC 2024-069, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palmdale amending the classification and pay plan for Y-rated positions. And then in addition to that, in front of you, you have a corrective memo related to one classification in our system for the inspector series that we recommend making a slight change to. So when you do move to adopt it, I would ask that you include that change.
So that'll take a separate motion, or is it included in this motion?
You
The-
can include it in this motion.
Okay, so I move the question on all of these issues, including that.
we have a motion?
No, the motion has been made and it's seconded,
Okay,
so I'm calling for the question.
okay. Let's go ahead and vote.
Start voting.
And while we're voting, I want to thank City Manager Rhonda Perez. I think she did an excellent job.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
We have a budget.
We do. She has done an excellent job executing this budget with the staff. I think it's very well balanced, and it's going to lead Palmdale into a prosperous future. So thank you very much.
Government shut down and heard it.
Yep.
So everyone, I want to emphasize, we're talking over $500 million, everything told. And that's 300, as Councilwoman Bettencourt pointed out, 300 or less employees of the city of Palmdale addressing the needs of 170,000 people. And it takes $500 million to accomplish that. But we want to provide every amenity, every service, particularly security, whether it be fire, whether it be the sheriff's department, to secure our people and make sure that they're safe, and to go after those that would violate the law. And I believe that the city's being well served. I also go and second and third and fourth and fifth, everything that is being said about you, Rhonda, and the finance department, and indeed all of our directors and staff across the board. So congratulations, thank you for having adopted this budget, members of the council. Thank
Yes,
you.
she is executing the will of the council and doing a tremendous job at it. Okay, so that's gonna take us, real quick, I think we have one more item. We have the joint 7.1 for our housing commissioners to vote on, and then after that, we're gonna take a break, let the room clear. Okay,
So we need a motion on
brief.
that?
Yeah, so we're at 7.1,
7.1?
or is it 6?
We just adopted.
I'm sorry. 6.1. My notes are wacky here. Okay, so we're gonna jump back, we're gonna jump to 6.1. We're gonna vote on that. So do we need city,
Do we need public hearing or?
6162, do we need to read the resolution into the record?
6.1 and 6.2 are consent calendar items.
Okay, they're consent, so we can
I
move them at
will
once?
move to adopt consent items 6.1 and 6.2.
A second.
Motion and second, go ahead and vote.
Start voting.
Passes unanimously. What? Hold on. Passes unanimously. Is it supposed to be 7? Yes. Okay.
didn't
Let's go ahead.
say
Do we need to
anything.
revote? Okay.
Oh, we have to do it again?
Yes, we'll go ahead and do it.
Oh,
Take two.
Make sure we do it all. Let me just go ahead and get these empties in here. There we go. And we have, start voting.
Now it passes unanimously. All right, good job.
we did it.
All right.
Council, before you take a break, Mayor, if I may, because she's amazing and she can go through 10,000 lines of data that quickly. The $1 million change was a movement of the payment for the mark that we already made out of capital and into operating.
All right, thank you for that follow-up, and also thank you, Janelle. Your finance, you were in charge of this, great job. All right, let's just take a couple-minute break. We'll let everyone clear the room if you so wish to leave, and we'll start the meeting back up here in a minute or two. Okay, and we're back. So before we jump into consent calendar, I'm going to call point of privilege, and I'm going to have a little presentation for our Sheriff's Department, our Palmdale Sheriff's Department. So Captain Barton, will you come up? Doesn't sound like it. I'll go loud. Palmdale Sheriff's Station had its 26th anniversary today, right?
Sir, yes,
And
sir.
it's station number what?
26.
There we go.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for what you and your station does for our community. Public safety is a top priority for the city of Palmdale. Always has and always will be. We need you more than ever to keep our city safe, and we appreciate everything you're doing.
And we appreciate the support of the community and the city as well. We thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your partnership.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Captain Barton.
Shouldn't all stand, no.
So Captain Barton, in case, you probably have noticed, because you come to our council meetings, that we don't normally frame those.
I know.
So you are very special, and so is the sheriff's department, that we actually
Thank you.
splurged on a frame for you, so.
They'll definitely be on the wall soon.
It's the least we could do.
Thank you so much.
But I just wanted to know, we think very highly of you, so
Thank you so much. Appreciate it very much.
Can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
Just because it was kind of topical today that, you know, several of us went to the station today to celebrate with you. And when I got there, I saw the memorial to Ryan Klinkenbrimmer, and I was struck with grief again and anxiety, remembering that day on September 16th. And I thought, if me, a council member, was traumatized by that day, imagine what you go through. Imagine what your deputies go through. And I just wanted to say that the gratitude that we express to you, words are not enough. I don't know how to describe the emotion, and I don't even know how to begin to understand the sacrifice that you and your deputies go through. We are immensely grateful to you and to the station.
Thank you, sir. The men and women that work for the LA County Sheriff's Department of Palmdale Station, they're built with true grit. It's deep within them. They're a tradition of service, true and through. And having lost their brother, it's definitely put them in a certain area of thought, and they think about it every day, and it's in the back of their mind, but they have to go out and serve the public as well. So we remember them every day, and we honor them every day. And we're working on another memorial within the station that everyone will be able to attend eventually here soon. We're getting portraits done of him and Deputy Hammock as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Captain.
Appreciate it.
All right, back to the consent calendar. So, we can move all the items at once with a motion and a second, or is there anything that anybody would like to pull?
Well, then I just wanted to pull one item
Absolutely. what number?
quickly. I'll go back on my notes. It's item 5.10. And, I'll be, if there are no other items that the council members want to pull, I'd be happy to move the balance of the consent calendar.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember
Second.
Alcorn, second by Mayor Pro Tem Loa. With the exception of 510, let's go ahead and vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Passes. Item 510. Do we need a staff report, or did you have a question?
It's a fairly simple, also benign item. It's for a street light pole. You can just give, if you want, give a 1-minute overview on what it is for the benefit of the public that's watching online and sitting in our audience. Maybe that would be helpful, and then I'll follow up with a question.
Sure, good evening, everyone. Lynn Glidden, Director of Public Works. Item 5.10 is an invitation for bid and award and requisition with Morgan England LLC for commercial streetlight poles in the amount not to exceed of $227,487 for the fiscal year of 24-25. This has to do with replacement of Marble-Light streetlight poles that we have for the city of Palmdale.
And the reason that a lot of them are being replaced is because people have accidents.
Have been knocked down.
And they knock them down with their cars and trucks, and then the city is responsible for replacing them. So we have to calculate that into our budget.
Yes, and as of fiscal year 23-24, as of today, there were 58 streetlight poles knocked down throughout the year.
Wow, that's a lot.
We have 18,000 streetlights in the city, but 58 were just this year.
One got knocked down. One got knocked down in my neighborhood Saturday morning.
Yeah,
6 a.m.
Yes, I think you were number 58.
Was I? Well, not me personally.
Well, not you, but.
And I know I harp on this all the time, but people have got to slow down in our community. You hit one of those poles, you're gonna lose. Your car's gonna crinkle up quite a bit, because those poles are solid. And the amount of force that it takes to knock it down, you're gonna have some injuries out of those accidents. I beg our residents to please slow down. Everyone would be better for it.
And hope that it doesn't fall on your car, or
Oh my gosh,
even
yeah.
worse. That wasn't always the
Hit somebody
case.
else.
The city didn't always own the streetlights or the street poles. I think it was 2017, the city of Palmdale bought them from SCE with a sizable grant. And we were able to convert them to LED lights, which saved the city a ton of money and power. So this is just part of it now, is that we have to maintenance and take care of the streetlights, yes, and the poles.
Yeah, so I think there's no question that we need to move this item. It's an obvious necessity, and I'd be happy to move the item at the appropriate time. The reason why I pulled it is because I followed up after a briefing with a few questions with regard to what percentage of our 18,000 streetlight network is LED, what percent runs off solar. The response I received was that 90% of our street pole network is LED, which is great. Included in the item today are additional streetlight poles that will be converted to LED in Ana Verde. But when I asked about solar, you said the only solar powered streetlight poles in our 18,000 network is at Oasis Park.
So we don't have any streetlight poles that are solar powered. They are all the Edison hardwired poles. The only solar powered poles that we actually have in the city that I am aware of is at Oasis Park around the new playground. So they're not streetlight poles, they're aesthetic lighting poles.
Got it. And thank you for that. And so I just pulled the item so that ideally we can maybe look into, I mean, a part of our budget, there was a whole narrative about, we enjoy 300 days of sunshine per year in the Antelope Valley. So I was thinking, why don't we capitalize on that? Is there an opportunity for us to realize some cost savings in converting our 18,000 street light pole network to solar? So I would just suggest, and I don't know if the council wants to discuss the item, but I would just suggest maybe we consider doing a needs assessment or feasibility of moving in that direction.
So, I think with regard to streetlights, I think that would be a difficult task. However, we are looking at park and rides. So I don't think my mic is on, but that's okay, I can talk loud. We are looking at Pomona Vista Park. Did I turn it off? We are looking at Pomona Vista Park on the north side for a pilot project to change those light poles to a solar component. So that will be forthgoing. We do have the lights we're changing out the head of the lamp. We have to make sure that we are gonna be gaining enough foot candles around the area and providing the security lighting that is needed. But I think it works better in a parking lot aspect in lieu of the hardwired street light poles.
Yeah, it's usually, I've seen those lights, it's a solar battery combo.
Yes.
That actually has to charge the battery during the day, then it runs all night. Those are very specific lights that use like maybe 4 or 5 LEDs or light emitting diodes, but yeah, the ones we use for Edison, those have to be
They have to
hardwired
they
with
have
the-
to come on at a certain time, they
Right.
have to shut off at a
with the
certain
kind
time.
of constant voltage, constant interrupted voltage they need in order to stay on the way they're designed. But the correct way to do that, the best way to do that, is to have solar programs like with our solar with our power authority. I mean,
With Epic.
yeah, with Epic, you know we put solar on our city facilities and we pump the energy back into the grid, and that would in turn cover, you know. So that's the right way going about it.
Yeah, so
so to speak.
I pulled the item just so that we can get the conversation going about how do we utilize the natural light here to create some cost savings here.
And we are looking at that, so I couldn't tell you that we had changed all those poles yet, but we are in the process of going forward
That's
with
good
that.
to hear, and hopefully we can utilize them for our municipal facilities and maybe our park and recs facilities and whatnot, so.
Our
Great,
HOA
thank
is
you.
experimenting right now with some battery LED in
Oh.
Verde, and it works okay. It's
Hey,
getting there. The
it's-
technology's getting better, but
Yes.
it's getting
And
there.
technology is changing, so when
Right.
we looked at this a couple years ago, then to now, it's a totally different animal. So we have to kind of look forward and forecast what kind of light is gonna be the best light and what kind of components are gonna be working and sustainable, so.
And Lynn, I just want to appreciate that you responded to my question from the briefing the other day.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for all of that information. If there's no further council discussion, happy to move the item.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we
Second.
have a second? Motion second. Let's go ahead and vote.
Start voting. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that takes us to 8.1, public hearing. Can we waive the reading?
I'm gonna read the resolution.
Okay, go
Title.
ahead. Go ahead and read it into the record, please.
CC 2024-049, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palmdale restating in its entirety the City of Palmdale master schedule of fees and penalties and repealing all prior enactments inconsistent with this resolution.
Okay, do we need a staff report, or can we move to the public hearing?
I think we
All
should
right,
go to
public hearing. Do we have any comments?
There are no speaker cards on this item.
Seeing none, can we go ahead and close the public hearing? We have a motion.
Second.
Second, multiple seconds, all right. So council discussion. Do we have any council discussions, or,
Very quickly, let's see, so it's been moved and seconded, right?
yes,
Okay, so my understanding is the only increase on these fees is the CPI, and that amounts to 3.9% over last year.
Good evening, yes, that is correct. The increase proposed in this item is a CPI increase. Staff looked at April 23 versus April 24, it was a 3.9% increase, and that has been applied to our fee schedule.
Okay, very good. So, I'm happy, satisfied.
yeah, I looked at everything, around 3-4% across the board for most things, not all things. But, you know, when you look down the service schedule, you see, wow, the city has a lot of services it can offer, down to, you know, ordering a pot of coffee for your event. So, yeah. But yeah, if you read the fee schedule, you learn about, you know, all the different services that the city has to offer, and it's quite substantial.
I'm in a meeting.
So, do anybody have any questions, or
I'm in a meeting, Cynthia.
do we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Call for the question? Oh, we already have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead and
We
call
had
the
a
question.
motion and a second on closing the public hearing. Can we get a motion and a second to adopt the item? Okay,
Second.
all right,
All right,
thank you very
let's go ahead
much.
and vote.
Okay. Start voting. Motion passes unanimously.
All right, that takes us to 8.2. Introduce and adopt ordinance 1643. City Clerk, can you please read the ordinance into the record?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palmdale, California, recommending City Council approval of General Plan Amendment 24-0002, Zone Change 24-0002, and Comprehensive Development Plan 24-0003, finding that the project is consistent with the Program Environmental Impact Report 22-002, prepared and certified in conjunction with the city's general plan, and direct staff to make necessary modifications to the Palmdale Transit Area Specific Plan.
Okay, so can I have a motion and second to introduce ordinance number 1643?
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's go ahead and a voice vote. Everyone say aye.
Aye.
All right, so staff, do we have a report for this? Hi, Brenda.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Give me 1 second. The item before you tonight is an amendment to the Palmdale Transit Area Specific Plan Boundary, including a general plan amendment and zone change. To provide some background, the specific plan was adopted on December 15, 2020, to guide the development of a pedestrian-oriented mixed-use district surrounding the City of Palmdale's Transportation Center, with the future California high-speed rail in mind. The specific, sorry, I ran over here.
Take your time.
The specific plan replaced the original Palmdale Transit Village specific plan adopted in 2007. In its entirety and since 2020 has only been amended one other time. As shown on the map, the specific plan boundary, the area that will be affected by the boundary is North Technology Drive, 10th Street East to the east, Palmdale Boulevard to the south, and State Road to 14th to the west. The project is a request to amend the Palmdale Transit Area Specific Plan boundary for the removal of 12 parcels, totaling approximately 59 acres within the specific plan area. The general plan amendment zone change request will modify the general plan land use and zone of the 12 acres to regional commercial. The proposed amendment is beneficial to the city because it provides flexibility for future development of a prominent entry point within the city, will address split zoning, and assist in creating synergy as we work towards the acquisition of Palmdale Boulevard. No development is proposed at this time, and future development would require separate review and approval. Also to note, as you know, the city is in escrow for a portion of the site, so this will definitely give us the flexibility we need to get some good development in that area. I'm available for any questions.
Well, this is something that we've been looking forward to now for several years, and we finally are in escrow for this, and I'm hoping that we can close escrow on this and get moving on everything. So I think this is going to help us spur economic development in that area, and that will be helpful to the entire Palmdale Boulevard corridor. And we want to see Palmdale Boulevard become a very vibrant, very effective area for people to enjoy businesses along that stretch. We have too many vacant parcels along there. And if we begin at one end, maybe that will begin to encourage development all along the boulevard. It's a long time coming. So thank you for putting all of this together, and I hope it gets passed. I believe it will, I hope.
All right, so at this time, let's see if there's anyone from the public here willing to speak. Do we have any public comment?
No speaker cards on this item.
Okay, so let's go ahead and close the public hearing. And then council discussion.
If there is no council discussion, happy to move the item.
Okay,
Second.
I have a motion, multiple seconds. Let's go ahead and vote. Yes, I think this is a good thing for
Start
the city.
voting.
And I think it's gonna hopefully provide a lot of economic activity in this area. All right, our screens are frozen. There we go.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Item number 9, city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Since we last met, we were partners in the AV Taco Festival, which had a huge turnout and over 100 vendors on site. It was a well-received community event. We also participated in the Seasons of Service, or actually initiated the Seasons of Service, this time in the Anna Verde area, and collected almost 34,000 pounds of trash on Saturday morning, June 15th. And we also celebrated Juneteenth on the 19th, just last week. Had a great turnout, a lovely event, and we are honored to host that event. In the upcoming weeks, we have, most importantly, probably our 4th of July celebration coming up, and that will initiate the kickoff to our summer concert series. We will also celebrate the Club Pilates grand opening on June 29th at the mall. And we are pleased to announce that Alert Palmdale has been released and will help us communicate with the community in the event of any natural disaster, emergency power outage, or anything of the sort. We encourage everybody to go on our newly reimagined website and sign up to receive those alerts via text. That's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Council reports. Item 10, council reports, announcements, requests, future items. We'll start. Councilmember Court. Nothing? Mayor Pro Tem Law?
I think we're good. I direct most of my comments to the city manager directly and usually get what we need done. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Olson?
Yeah, one thing. As you know, I've been advocating for a feasibility study on the sheriff's contract and a study on potential paths moving forward. That is concluding at the end of this month, I believe.
We've got the community meetings scheduled for this month, so it's going to wrap up next month.
It's going to wrap up next month. So in preparation for that wrapping up, I would like to ask if the council agrees for a subcommittee on criminal justice to review and make proposals and recommendations.
Sure, I think it's a good idea.
Am I prohibited from that, city attorney?
And then if the council's in agreement to that, I also think it would be a good idea if we had a committee on planning and economic development.
It's a good idea as well.
Okay.
So my request is the formation of those two.
Just for clarity, these ad hoc committees are members of the council? Like two members of the council for each?
Two members of the council, because I think these are very important issues to the city, and I would like to make sure that the council is on the same page and giving that direction.
Sure, sounds good.
I'm seeing heads go up and down, yes? Okay. All right, report back then and how we can do that. Councilmember Alarcon?
Yeah, a couple things I would like to see for future agendas. One is the litigation, the Antelope Valley area AQMD versus the US EPA. I know that that's ongoing litigation. I was involved in that while I was serving on the AVAQMD. So if we could request that the council for the AVAQMD can come and provide an update on the status of that litigation, I think we could all benefit from that as it impacts thousands of aerospace and defense jobs. And then a second, you didn't mention it, and so I will mention it in your place. Thank you to Assemblymember Juan Carrillo, who originally introduced the legislation with regard to the relinquishment of Palmdale Boulevard yesterday. That item was presented before the Senate Transportation Committee and was approved unanimously. It was originally introduced in the Assembly. It went to Assembly Transportation. It got out of Assembly Transportation. It went to Assembly Appropriations because it will have a fiscal impact. And it was unanimously adopted by Assembly Appropriations. So then it was sent to the Senate. Yesterday, it went to its first policy committee. As I said, transportation, it got out there. We are very, very close to it being adopted by the Senate, both houses, and then signed by the governor. So thank you to Councilmember Olson, Assemblymember Juan Carrillo for initiating and leading the effort on that litigation. And then lastly, I should have mentioned it during the budget, but in my notes, I somehow, it was an oversight. Last year during the budget, we had a pretty lively conversation as to whether or not we should move forward with a grant program for nonprofit organizations and community organizations. Last year during that conversation, I went back and I looked at the minutes. There were 3 council members, myself, Councilmember Olson, and Mayor Bishop, who
reflected that we all supported moving forward with a grant program so long as there was independent oversight and management of that. It's been a year. I don't know that we've taken any proactive steps to move that forward. So if we could at some point, get that going, I think that I would like to think that there's council support for implementing, even if it's a small grant program for community organizations. I think we've got to incorporate something. And Mr. Mayor, I do have one last thing I want to say before we adjourn our meeting. I just wanted to say happy birthday to Rhonda and happy birthday to you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, very good. Happy birthday, Mayor.
I think Rhonda had her birthday a couple days ago.
Monday and Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then mine's on Friday. A lot of summer birthdays.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Okay.
So
Nothing-
before we go to non-agenda public comments, I'm wondering about item 12.1. Councilmember Olson and myself have met. There's some other developments that we learned about today, and I think it probably would be appropriate for us to put 12.1 over to the second meeting in July if everybody's in agreement with that.
Okay, let's just see if there's anyone before we move to that. Do we have public comments, non-agendized public comments?
Yes, we do, Mayor.
Okay.
We have Eugene Hernandez.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Ring. For several years now, I've been supporting you and Drea on many fronts, speaking on your behalf. But now that I have a problem, and I try to contact you, and I left messages, and I went to the city hall, and I sent texts, zero contact. Apparently, all you want is public attention. Here I am giving out food, here I am giving out toys, but for your constituents, you don't care a bit. So don't count on my support for your reelection or for other offices that you seek. I'm starting to believe that the Freedom Coalition was correct in their assessment of you, that you don't care about the little person, the constituent, all you want is publicity. And it really reflects badly upon you. It also reflects that when you leave the meetings early or come late, I think that's a very bad representation for the young people who are watching the city council meetings. And I feel personally insulted by I finally got support from the safety committee of the city. I haven't got a report of what happened. And I went down to the watch commander to tell him about a housing issue. But it's very disappointing for you as a city councilwoman to completely ignore me because I can't arrange a press conference with Antelope Valley Press that you can attend. And it really reflects badly on your leadership skills. And I really urge people not to re-elect you. Thank you.
Can I just, point of privilege, I, for the record, have not received not one text, not one phone call, not one email message directly from you. And in fact, when I received word through other third parties that you had a concern, I contacted you via the number that was provided to me, and the number was disconnected. If there is an issue, I'd be happy to address that with you directly, but I did not receive any messages from council staff that when you came to City Hall. I don't have any voicemails, don't have any text messages, don't have any emails, and when I tried to reach out to you directly, it was a disconnected number. So I just want to state that for the record.
Okay. Next speaker.
Tony?
Hi, Tony.
Hi. I'll get right to the point. Since I only have 2 minutes, I live in east side of Palmdale, at 25th and S. I'd like you to consider on Olive Drive installing speed humps, not speed bumps. It's a half-mile run that 2 weeks ago, two people were killed there, car cut in half, they hit a tree. This stuff happens all the time. They just drive too fast. And the only way you can slow them down is it says 50 miles an hour on one end, but there's nothing else way down. And I go to church in the valley, and they use speed humps in some of the streets down there. And I thought, well, let's try them out here because it's just too fast. I've been out walking my dog, and I've gone 20 feet, and the next thing you know, some guy hops the curb and hits the wall. People along there have had to replace walls. They get to 30th Street, they don't make the stop, they go into a wall. And I would just ask you to consider that. It's just too fast.
Yeah, never mind.
Just for clarity, what is the exact stretch that you're referencing?
From 25th to 30th, just south of S, is Olive Drive.
We had a vendor killed at that intersection at
Yeah.
25th and S not too long ago. Where from 30th to 25th, it's wide.
It's wide,
They
it's winding.
accelerate and then it winds down. That is a very dangerous intersection, and the city manager's nodding. We'll look
coming
at
down
it.
on 25th, if you're heading north, it's actually a grade. There's actually a small grade that also increases the speed, and people lose control with that
Well,
too. Am I allowed to say that? I mean, I'm not even sure.
All those
but
things taken into account, people just drive too fast.
I agree.
And I live on Vista Leone. I'd really like to put 2 speed bumps in there too because they come out of the condominium. And they just hit the gas and it's just I don't know why they want to get to the street so fast, but it's probably a quarter mile and they want to get 50 miles an hour by the end. You pull out your driveway and next thing you know, that's it. Your car's or you're hurt. So if you could, I have a map here. It's just not to scale, but if you guys want to take a look at it.
Yeah, just give it to the clerk and
I would appreciate
we'll
you.
look into it.
I've lived there for 38, 37 years, and time back it was fine. The population was not as the way it is now, but now it's like you take your life in your hands if you walk your dog.
I totally feel your pain. I live at 35th and S, and I shop at that Stater Brothers, get gas at that 7-Eleven. Used to use the Cabana car wash over there, and I know the traffic in there is, you're taking your life in your hands when you pull out of some of those parking areas.
The speed
So
bumps.
we'll
I think
look into it, absolutely.
There are people who have been killed there and injured. They'd probably still be here if we had some way to slow them down. They aren't going to. You can put a motor cop out there, and they'll write tickets every
would be
now
all
and
day
then.
long.
But after
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
what do you do?
We'll look into that for sure.
You're hurt.
So I see our public
We
works
hear you, sir.
director is feverishly writing her number down
She's-
on a
yeah.
card for him. So,
Lynn's gonna give you her card. Just have
sir,
her
right
back.
behind you, she's gonna.
Thank you for
take
coming
your
in and
information.
voicing that.
All right. Any other speakers?
Lou Walker.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Great.
I don't think I ever spoke here before. But Lou Walker, I'm currently with Influential Arts and the National Action Network. If you're unfamiliar with the National Action Network, it was started in '91 by Al Sharpton, and it's headquartered in New York. I came specifically, I actually didn't anticipate speaking, but I've been trying to find information regarding the Course in Arts Colony apartments and the programming, the workspace, the classes that should be going on there, and the use of the gallery. I did see some, articles referencing Mike Miller. I know he's no longer with the city of Palmdale.
No, he's he is retired.
Retired,
But-
but it does mention Ms. Reyes.
Yes, she's
Sophia
here with
Reyes.
us tonight.
Good, great.
Yep, in the blue.
Yeah, I've been unsuccessful in just really communicating with people regarding that, as well as other community members. But I've actually started following the story from Lancaster regarding that art gallery and the development that went into it, and the awards that these projects get, and then the actual impact that it makes in the community. So hopefully within the next few weeks, I'll be submitting more information, detailed information, because I am a researcher for systemic challenges, issues, and solutions. And I was actually fortunate enough to partner with someone from the UK that is focusing on the academic challenges that are peaking here in Los Angeles County. So if anyone could just reach out and just give me some information about the development projects and how you measure social impact and community
respond, that would be wonderful.
Okay. And, thank you for coming. I'm sorry you're having a little bit difficulty breaking through, so to speak, but you've come to the right place. I'm going to connect you with Sophia in the back. And Sophia, can you also give her my email address? And
Thank you.
Director of the council's webpage with all of our email addresses. All right, thank you.
Roger Somerset?
Esteemed council, honorable members of the public, bureaucrats that work for the city, and various and sundry others who may be present. Mr. Hernandez mentioned that Palmdale Freedom Coalition may have been critical of some areas, and while that's certainly true, that's not the general tenor. What people in there say is that the city's doing a good job, and if there's anything we can do to help do an even better job, we have emails. So I had to disagree with that, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the positive feedback.
No more speaker cards on this item?
Okay.
You got one now.
All right, let him up. State your name.
Smells like tacos.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jorge Ventura, and I just want to come here and say thank you to the City of Palmdale for partnering up with us at the recent Taco Festival. The city manager's office, Parks and Recs, for all the the support that they gave us. We had a very, very, very successful event. All of you guys were there. Got to see you guys. We did have 125 vendors in this park. We had over 6,500 people in attendance. We had 38 food trucks, food vendors, a lot of activities. We had a carnival area for the kids. We had sliding jumpers for the kids. We had a petting zoo for them. I have received nothing but positive reviews, not one single negative review from the event. We had bought, it's a taco and tequila festival. So we bought a few cases of tequila, sold out completely. We ran out of tequila. We had bought 2 pallets of beer. We had 18 cases left. Not one single incident, not one single borracho, no fights, no incidents whatsoever. It's a very, very peaceful, family oriented event. And I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you for the support. Mark your calendars. June 7th, 2025 is our next taco festival, and it's going to be even bigger than this one. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a wonderful time there, and I tried to eat a sample of every taco that I could until I ran out of my.
I agree with everything you said.
It was wonderful.
It was a great event, and it's such a beautiful venue here at Poncitlan Park, Poncitlan Square. But one of the most successful things that I saw is that we distributed, I believe, hundreds of fentanyl kits. And there was a booth there, and there were a lot of people that came and sought those out, and I hope it saves a life. But, that was part of everything that went on. And I saw all of you guys dancing out there. No tengo tanto ritmo, so.
Right. We had the actual Sonora Dinamita, which is it's a worldwide known band. They were playing, and it was a miracle. All my pain went away. I was dancing. I don't know. My energy came back, but I did suffer 2 days after that.
I bet.
Even my eyelashes were hurting.
Didn't you have some wrestling out there too?
Huh?
Didn't you have some wrestlers out there?
We had lucha libre all day. We had female lucha libre. We had little people lucha libre, and then we had the regular mass people wrestling and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a great event. Thank you.
It was a lot of
Thank
fun.
you.
There was-
It was fun.
There were so many vendors and so many people interested in this event that there was talk of maybe moving you to a larger venue. But I agree with Mr. Loa. There's something special about Poncitlan Square and having events there. It's just a perfect place. The only thing I would recommend is maybe we widen those sidewalks, because when someone that needs the ADA accessibility stops at an event, it creates a backup. But I think that's something we should look into in the future, because this is a perfect place
And also
for.
parking's an issue, so I think in the
The way
past,
you set it up
I've
was
talked
beautiful.
about maybe having them park at the Hammock Center and shuttle them over.
Yeah, we're considering talking to AVTA, and maybe AVTA can have a shuttle that goes from the Hammock Center, bring people
That would
back
be
and
great.
forth throughout the day.
That would be really good.
Or maybe at the train station,
Oh, okay, good,
you
good
know,
idea.
things like that. Yeah, because we did have people from out of the area. We had some vendors, a lot of vendors from Bakersfield came. We had vendors from, not Pomona, Fontana, you know, from Riverside, San Bernardino area. You know, and we were on Telemundo live promoting the event, and also Telemundo was here, the newscast was here on the day as we were on the news too that day.
Very nice.
Very good.
Yeah.
Great job, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, George. We appreciate you continuing to bring high-quality family events to our city. Vicki and George, thank you both. All right, that was our last public comment?
Yes.
Okay, so that takes us to, item 12 and
Yeah, I
What
think
was
if
that
we
you
could
were
just
saying?
move this over to the second meeting in July.
I don't believe there's urgency, so I will
Okay.
second that.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move that
Does everybody agree?
to the next meeting. Do we need to vote on it? Or we have consensus?
Maybe a voice vote?
Everyone say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say none. All right, so therefore, we will not have an announcement by the city attorney. So that takes us to our last item. We're gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting. We're gonna adjourn it in memory of firefighter Andrew Pontius. So I'm gonna read a little bit about him before we adjourn here. So a little bit of information about him. So he was born, he was born Andrew Lee Pontius. He worked at Fire Station 93, Battalion 17. He was born September 7th, 1971. He was 52 years old. His two parents were Gary and Ellie Pontius. His sibling was Dave Pontius, and he was recently a retired captain of the LA County Fire Department from Fire Station 93 as well. His wife is Kim, of 7 years, and he has an adult stepdaughter, Sarah. He was hired in 2005. He's a 19-year veteran, recruit class 117. During his time at LA County Fire, he worked at stations 74, 168, 169, 4, and finally 93. He grew up in Claremont, attended Claremont High School, and graduated from Humboldt State. He enjoys hunting, fishing, and he enjoyed the outdoors. Survived by his wife and his stepdaughter, parents, brother, sister-in-law Vicky, nephews George, Gregory, Andrew, and nieces Elizabeth and Sarah. He will be greatly missed, and we honor him for his duty.
Thank you for saying that. And you know, it's a huge loss to our community. It's a huge loss to the first responders, and it's just a huge loss to the fire department. My heart goes out to everybody, his coworkers, his family, and our community. He was a great asset to our community.
He absolutely was, and he was close to retirement, and it's very sad, and it's not normal. It's very uncommon for a firefighter to lose his life in the line of duty, so we're forever grateful for his service he provided for Palmdale and the LA County Fire.
It's another example of how our first responders go towards danger. They run towards danger, not thinking about themselves, but of making sure that others are safe or are rescued. And of course, we all are very saddened by that event. It was very tragic, widely publicized, and our hearts go out to the family, and hope that they are go through the grieving and deal with it in a manner that their spirit can be healed as well as their health.
All right. Anybody else?
I just, people don't know this, but I come from a firefighter family. I've got 5 LAFD firefighters. My 3 uncles and 2 cousins are firefighters. And although they are LA City firefighters, the firefighter network, it's a unified family. It's a law enforcement unified effort. And any loss is felt throughout, not just LA County, statewide, nationally. As was mentioned, it's very rare that a firefighter loses their life in the line of duty, and this was a tragic loss to the department and to the city of Palmdale. So my condolences sincerely to the family.
All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting in memory of firefighter Andrew Pontius to July 10th, 2024, 5 p.m. right here in council chambers. Thank you, take care of yourself, and have a good night.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.